Hour 2 continues, brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. We keep on rolling. We keep on rolling. From Paul LaPolice now to Jim Barker from the CFL on TSN. Hey, Coach, 1 week ago, you said CFL rookie camps are opening up and training camps next weekend, and here we are. You said we'll have lots to talk about. So what's top of mind for you as the offseason is officially behind us?
Well, because of Lapo's thing, obviously top of mind is, what does the CFL do? Do they, I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and having CFL players play in that, I think is as good for the CFL as anything. And what you do is you do your draft, everything early before the NFL draft. There was 11 players that were affected by free agency or what, going to go to a rookie mini camp this weekend that were in the draft. Now, if you did the draft early, you might lose a couple of those guys who won't sign, and you'll go to training camp, and then you just take that break. You take a 3-week break where those guys could play in and be like Lapo said, it's the biggest stage in the world. That's going to help the CFL in my view. And you adapt them to some things, you make some changes, you take a little bit of a chance. And that would be my starting point. But then we have Zach Collaros. I can't believe nobody has brought him up on your show here, because that, again, when I first saw it, and I brought Zach in the league, and he's as good a young man as there is out there. He's done nothing but fabulous things for this league. I've been in the league 28 years. I've never heard this rule invoked. I've heard that I knew that they call players and things along those lines.
Can I pause you?
Oh,
can I pause
please.
you just for a sec? Just tell the viewers what it is. Zach Collaros, I say, is arguably the face of the league, has been suspended 1 game for not returning the messages of the Center for Canadian Sports Ethics for drug testing. They gave him 2 hours. Oh my God. To return a text or a phone call, and when it was 24 hours he didn't, they suspended him 1 game. It's supposed to be 2 because of extenuating circumstances, the league said they reduced it to 1. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Well, and the
just telling everybody.
extenuating circumstances, they're changing the rule so that now, because in the past they couldn't call the team. I mean, I've been in this league, like I say, a long time, and getting a hold of players in the offseason, if you think that's easy, especially these guys that go back to the U.S., they change phone numbers 5 times. I mean, that's the norm. I don't answer calls from numbers that I don't recognize. Every time I've gotten a call from the league office, it's always been on a number I don't recognize. Again, did he not see it? Who knows what? But Zach Collaros is not the guy who's going to avoid a drug test. He lives here in Aurora. He could have driven to the CFL office. Again, if it just would have gone and, okay, this is what happened, we need to adjust this rule. But why penalize the fans? And that's what you're doing when you're taking the premier player in the league. He's been to 5 straight Grey Cups. He's done so much for this league that he doesn't ever get paid for. He goes out and does a ton of things. And now you're going to go and you're going to take 1/18 of his paycheck and basically and punish him for what I think was a flaw in the system. Now, again, that was done a while ago. The Players Associations complain about it, but they're the ones who agreed to do that to say if a player doesn't return in the offseason. So, again, I think it's a screwed up thing. I believe if he cut it from 2 to 1, he could have cut it to nothing, to no penalty, and I think it would have looked better on the league than taking the best premier player in your league and saying he's not going to play the first week because we're going to make a statement. About what? About what? It's crazy.
Well,
so that's the...
Yeah, and I'm the same. Like, I'm sitting there going, there must be more to the story. What am I missing? The viewers are now going crazy on this. John in Winnipeg says the Zach incident is laughable. BS. Jason in Red Deer says, for not returning a text, phone call, and email? The dude must have been out of service area. Email got lost in junk. Jeremy in Winnipeg says, that's wild. It's the off season. People are busy. Life, family. That's what Jim just said. Now let me take one step further. I'm going to ask what you know about this, because I don't know. Would this come from the commissioner's office, or is it the head of officiating that hands out these suspensions? I've never really known. Like, I would assume Randy Ambrosie was dropping the hammer on the Chad Kellys of the world and the Garrett Marinos, right? Would Stuart Johnston be comfortable? You know him, like,
well, he would be
involved.
He would be involved. He would be involved in it without question, because it was cut from 2 games, which is what it says in the thing. That if they don't return the call within 2 hours, and they can't get a hold of them, and they're not allowed to call the team, that's what they're going to change. Like, if they call Mike O'Shea and say, "Hey, Osh, we need to get a hold of Zach, and you have him give us a call. We can't tell you why, but just have him give us a call." He'd get a hold of Zach in 2 minutes. I promise you. But they weren't allowed to do that because of confidentiality or whatever. It just, to me, it was a stupid thing that the Players Association agreed to, and that the CFL, in terms of the actual punishment, it comes from the commissioner's office. And there's some tough decisions. I thought the whole Darian Newell situation, a guy who I had in my mock draft for him to be picked third overall. They chose, he tested positive, and they knew it prior to the draft and told the teams, but didn't make it public. Well, during the draft, Dave Naylor comes up to me and says, "Hey, that Verisuk, if he was 1,000 to 1 to be taken in the top 5 picks." So there's people gambling on this stuff. Now, if you want to be a big time league and you want to have gambling on your draft, which the NFL draft this year had record numbers gambled on it. I mean, it's a gambling thing. Where is a certain guy going to go? And, is he going to be in the top 5? I mean, I know Rashad Jeanty falling to 6 made MGM a ton of money. They said that was their number one thing, was when he fell out of the top 5. And so my point is that if you want to run with the big dogs and you want people to gamble on your sport, talk about it in the off season, to be a topic at the water cooler, then you need to be completely transparent. And for them to know that, and again, they claim that it was privacy issues. I mean, I found out, people in the CFL never told me. I found out from a friend of mine in the NFL. And again, they find out this stuff and they said, "Well, we didn't want it to get out because it might hurt." And they come out the next day and do it. Well, if I'd have had money on Darian Newell to be in the top 1,000, and I'd have bet it because I'm trying, I'm following the CFL and that kind of, I would be pretty angry about that. So I think the CFL needs
this is a guy, everybody, who failed several drug tests or had several drugs in his illegal drugs in his system. But the teams were told, the fans weren't. And he was still going to be eligible for the draft.
He's out for a year. He's out for the year.
Right.
He was drafted 12th overall by Edmonton. But my point is if you're going to be a big-time league, then do things in a big-time manner. Let me ask you this. If Tom Brady would have not returned phone calls on a drug test, do you think the NFL would have suspended him for a game?
Oh, my God. What a topic. Because his cell phone was subpoenaed in the deflategate scandal, and he ended up being suspended for 4 games.
For the deflategate.
Yeah, well, it's funny because Nelson writes in, to paraphrase, Nelson says, he goes, "It sets the tone, is what it does. Even Zach isn't safe." Do you think this was a message to all players that if we can suspend Zach Collaros, we can suspend you? That it was a message to everybody?
Again, because it was Zach, I don't know that. I don't know. Like I say, I've been in this league 28 years. I've never heard this ever happen. I mean, I've heard a lot of things happen. I've never heard of a player on this drug thing. Now, I don't know how long the rule has been there. I don't know how long, whether it was at the last CBA it was put in or if it was before that. I've talked to some players since. They said, guys get called all the time. And if they don't pick it up, they call somebody else. Nobody ever knows about it. They said that's the way it works normally. They've never turned anybody in and actually done a suspension. So again, Stu Johnson did what he's supposed to do. The league said 2 games. He said, "Well, that's a little harsh because we're going to change the rule because it's a bad rule and blah, blah, blah." So he cut it to 1. my point is why do it at all? But again, that's the kind of things that, yeah, you're right. Tom Brady did get the deflategate, and that's a little different though. That's out and out cheating.
Sure.
And
it's a lot different.
And what
it's a
Zach
lot different.
What Zach did was the league basically didn't get their job done in contacting him, and he's paying the price for it. That's the way I look at it.
Your brother, and by the way, you and I agree. Write it down, May 9th, 2025. Jim Barker and I agree. That's rare. John, your brother, says no way, and if they did, Brady would probably fight it legally. He says, can Collaros appeal? Can he? I'm about done with this story because I do want to move on. Apparently he addressed it, and I think he said that he would accept the punishment and move on or something.
Yeah,
and that's exact way. He's a pro.
They dropped it.
Yeah,
that's
he's a
him.
pro.
That's the way he does it. Okay, now to some camps. I've been up at the up at the East West, been around, have a little bit of news. Go ahead.
Oh, hey, drop the news. Drop the news. Go ahead.
All right.
No, go ahead.
I believe Chad Kelly is going to open the season on the 6-game injured list. He threw yesterday, didn't feel great, has pulled. I just believe he'll be on the 6-game list to start the season. I don't believe he'll be in the lineup, still recovering from that ankle injury. The guy that the Toronto Argonauts traded Daniel Adeboboye for, Andre Carter, who was a Neglis player from Ottawa, that guy decided he's not going to play anymore. He's coaching. He took a high school job, so he did not show up to camp. So basically, Daniel Adeboboye was given to Ottawa, which is sad. I mean, I was surprised he was traded for a Neglis player. Let's see, there was one other. That was it. And then, like I say, Toronto. They're the team I kind of saw. They have a right tackle stepping in for DeJohn Allen, who they traded to BC, a guy named Jean Delance, who was in BC and Saskatchewan. So, but he looks good at right tackle to fill a huge hole that the Argos have. So that's my up-to-the-minute date on Argos.
Thank you.
Hamilton didn't practice today, so I'll go see them here Sunday.
I know I was going to say fired up, but it's straight fire. That's what you guys have popularized there. Brent in Wellington, Florida writes in. Brent from Wellington, Florida. We're going to the Panthers-Leafs game tonight. He says, I'm enjoying the fired up Jim Barker. He says it like it is. Yes, he does. That's why he enjoys coming on this show. Can you say this like it is, Jim? From the audience, Jeremy wants to know, are the Rough Riders the best team in the CFL West?
Wow. Well, I will say Fraser Sopik retired, which hurts Calgary badly. They trade Cam Judge. They signed Fraser Sopik to a lot of money to start at linebacker. So I think Calgary, again, they have Vernon Adams. I think they're going to struggle. Edmonton has a Trey Ford, who's a brand new quarterback. The whole Nathan Rourke, how he's going to fit in with Buck Pierce and things like that, a lot of question marks. And Winnipeg, even with Zach, even when they have Zach all the time, they've undergone a ton of change. Their offensive line's different. Their defense, they've shown signs. Last year they started out real slow. I think that could happen again this year. I would say Saskatchewan is going to be to the team to beat. Here's my problem with Saskatchewan. Is can Trevor Harris stay healthy for a season? I don't know why. You watch him and you just think, is the next play the one where he's going to get hurt? And I hope he doesn't. I think Trevor's a great player. But he has shown he can't, he has had trouble since he's been in Saskatchewan getting through the season. If they can keep Trevor Harris healthy. Now, I know that they went and signed Mayer, and he's going to be their backup. And, he's got a history with Mark Mueller. So that's good, because I do believe that Mayer can be a great player eventually. But I worry about their quarterback situation. But other than that, I think they've strengthened their team all the way across. I like a lot of the things that they've done. The young guy they got in the draft, Ollie Sod, I think is going to be a really good addition for them as an interior defensive lineman. So I like what they've done, and so I do think that they're going to be the team to beat. I do think that Edmonton has so many question marks, but it's exciting to watch because we don't know what's going to happen out there. What's Nathan Rourke and Buck Pierce? What's that marriage going to be like? I mean, is he the type of
We never know.
quarterback that Buck Pierce wants? No, you don't.
They never know. Not in the West. Bud Grant always said the most interesting division in football, period, is the CFL West. Can you real briefly answer this question from Nelson? He says, can you take us behind the curtain on these immediate retirements? Braden Lenius just did the same thing before reporting to Lions camp. Darian Durant did it with the Bombers. In 90 seconds or less, can you explain why these guys retired just before camp?
Well, there's a couple reasons. One is with Fraser Sopik, it happened to be an injury. With David Cote from Montreal, it was an injury. Tunde Adeleke, I think, again, they feel like their body, as they train to get ready for the season, they can't get their body to the point that it's going to be able to last a CFL season. And that's normally what happens. Sometimes they get offered jobs. Sometimes they get offered jobs in the fire department or whatever. But it's really not, 4 to 5 players across the league retiring the week that they report is not uncommon. That happens quite a bit. Like I say, with the players that did it, I think most of it was physical. Like Frazier, I believe that was a physical situation. I think Tunde was a physical situation. And Cote, I believe that was a physical situation. Braden Lenius has had trouble staying healthy in BC. He retires this week. So again, it is something that's common in the CFL. The problem is when it's Canadian players, you can't go pluck another one. Like a U.S. player, you can just go pluck another one. With a Canadian player, you can't do that. They're not out there. You trade Cam Judge and now you sign Fraser Sopik to be a Canadian starter for you. You back him up with Micah Tights, and now the week you report, he's gone. Now you have Micah Tights. They didn't draft the linebacker. They drafted Nicky Fernaccio in the 3rd or 4th round. From University of Montreal, who's a good player, but has been hurt almost his entire career. So is he going to be a guy who can stay healthy? That's a big question mark. So I think they now have a ratio problem. That's what makes the CFL so beautiful. If an American doesn't show up, it's, like Carter not showing up for Toronto. It's just another, the tragedy there is that you got rid of Daniel Adeboboye, a great Canadian player. Replacing Canadians is the key to winning in the CFL.
Yeah. It's beautiful for guys like you and me to watch now from the outside. Pain in the butt when you're trying to fill a spot from the inside. Okay, Jim.
No doubt.
A lot of fun. Thanks for this. Enjoy the ball. We'll see you in a week.
Very good.
The CFL on TSN's Jim Barker, dropping news, breaking news, hot takes. You and me the rest of the way. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.